Ladies and gentlemen, will you please welcome to the Friday Night Rock Show, Mr. Ricki Warwick. Ricki, how are you, sir?
I'm very well, thanks. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Hang on, I'm going to hand over to Kendall to ask you a few questions to start with.
Well, I'm sorry. I know that Stu said I shouldn't say this, but yes, I went to see The Almighty, and I had one of the most fabulous evenings. I was one of those annoying chicks that's on other people's shoulders. It was great.
Why shouldn't you say that? Absolutely.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
You did. Yeah, and, all I've got is wonderful memories of some very crazy years with those guys and that band. Very good times indeed.
In fact, could you just satisfy my curiosity? The support band might have been Cheap and Nasty?
Yes, they did. That's right. They came out and toured with that. That's going back quite a bit.
Right. So I'm not going mental then. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Before we talk about what you're doing now, I'd like to take you right back to the New Model Army.
Oh,
wow.
Please tell us a bit about that.
Again, amazing. That was really my first, my first sort of touring that I ever did was with the New Model Army guys, and I'm still very, very good friends with all of them, especially with Justin and Jules to this day. Wonderful band, taught me a lot about being on the road, about songwriting, attitude. I always say when people ask me, about it, I say I owe them a lot. I really had, I was only in the band for a year, but the education I got in that year has lasted me right up till now and beyond. And
then, of course, after that, you went on to form the Almighty.
Yeah, I always was, the sort of hard hand New Model Army, and I always had ideas and a vision that I wanted to have my own band and write my own songs, and I was very clear about that with the guys in the Model Army. So when we came off the road after touring, way back in '87, I just basically jumped right into the Almighty straight away because I had it already sort of planned out in my mind.
They were very powerful songs, Ricki, and I know that you take a lot of your strength from, well, not necessarily strength, but influences from being Irish, Northern Ireland, but Lizzy, obviously that has an Irish connotation. Do you find that you associate yourself with the songs because of that very sort of roots thing you've got going?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, 100%. When I was growing up in Belfast as a kid, Lizzy were ours because they were Irish, as were all the other sort of bands like Stiff Little Fingers that I loved that were from Belfast. And Phil, such an iconic rock star because the way he looked and everything, we were very, very proud that he was Irish. So even back then, I certainly identified with him. But when I'm singing those songs, when I'm singing like Black Rose and I'm singing about the Mountains of Mourne and in the lyrics and places like that, I was born 25 miles from the Mountains of Mourne. I used to be able to see them out of our kitchen window. So I close my eyes and singing those lyrics that Phil wrote. I can identify with all those places because I've been to most of them, and they had an effect on my life when I was growing up. So it's very cool that way.
But I bet you never thought you'd be playing with Thin Lizzy, did you? Come on, be honest.
Never in a million years. Of course not. It's just when you're a kid, you dream about singing in your favorite band, and it's like winning the lottery. You sort of know what is never going to happen. This is a chance in hell, and I got that chance in hell, and it came true, and here I am singing in one of my all-time favourite bands, which is just mind-blowing.
Ricki, when you got the call to do this, how did it actually happen?
Well, you know what, it's kind of really easy, actually. I've known Scott for quite a while, since back in the Almighty days. I've known Scott since, about 1990, and we became, good friends and kept in touch on and off. And then I did a solo record called Tattoos and Alibis in 2003, and Scott came over and played guitar for me on the record, and we hung out and stuff. And then I hadn't really heard from him in a while, and then I guess he was overdoing some of the reissues that Lizzy just put out, the box set and stuff at Joe Elliott's place, Joe Elliott from Def Leppard's place in Dublin, and Scott and Brian were talking about putting the band back together, and they were good. The notion of a vocalist came up, and Joe Elliott said to Scott, what about Ricki? You know him, and you know what he sings like, and you know the kind of person he is. And I guess Scott thought that was a good idea, and a week later he called me and basically said that the gig's yours. It's yours to lose. We'll get together and have a rehearsal. He said, I know you can do it. I know what you sound like, and if we all agree and it all sounds good, then we're off to the races, and that's pretty much what happened.
Now, you're very good friends with Joe Elliott, aren't you?
Yeah, very good. Yeah, I was actually his best man at his wedding.
I was just about to ask you that. That can't be bad, Ricki. Not bad at all. Now, next question. The Thin Lizzy that we're going to see, which is a fairly new lineup of Lizzy, 23rd at De Montfort Hall, which is a Monday night. I suggest everybody gets down there. You've got actually 3 original members of Thin Lizzy with you.
Yes, and we have since the band got back together. Obviously, Brian's been there since day one. Brian, went to school with Phil, and he and Phil started Thin Lizzy right back in the day. Scott, I think, joined about 74, and was with them through the height, obviously through the height of success, until the band split up in '83, and Darren's been there. I think Darren's been there since '79. So, yeah, those guys have worked with Phil and written some great songs with Phil, and they are part of the original Thin Lizzy.
Now, the other 2 members that our audience might not be aware of, Ricki, please tell us a bit about the other 2 guys.
Yeah, absolutely. We got Marco Mendoza on bass guitar. Marco's a real character and a phenomenal musician. He's played with everybody from Whitesnake to Ted Nugent to even Dolores from the Cranberries, as well as doing his own solo stuff. So he's really a great guy. And then we've got Damon Johnson on guitar. Damon was in a band called Brother Kane, who had a pretty big album in the early 90s in America. I guess for the last 7 or 8 years he's been the guitar player in the Alice Cooper band, which he quit to join Thin Lizzy.
That's cool. Now, here is a little question. I know it's a naughty one for you, Ricki, but is there any chance that you and the new team will knock together a new song? Would you write anything together?
For Thin Lizzy?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, every chance. I think that that we had such a good year last year, and the band really reestablished itself, and the reaction that we had to the shows was really so overwhelming that I think, as musicians, it's what we do, and it's a natural progression for us to want to write. So, we're under no illusion the enormity of the task and how amazing the songs would have to be, but I think there's a will to go into the studio and certainly get started and see what it sounds like, and it's one of those things where if we feel that our heart and soul are in the right place and it's good and the songs are amazing, then
if it feels right, do it.
But if they're not, then we won't. It's one of those things. I think it would be a song that we put out first, just to let the Lizzy and get their seal of approval before we just kind of dump a whole album on everybody. But I certainly think that's going to happen.
I have been sneaking some peeks in on some of your previous moments with them, and I must admit I was dreading it because I wanted it to be really good, and it actually was.
Right, thank you.
You're welcome, darling.
Now, Ricki, as everybody knows, Thin Lizzy's lineup of guitarists over the years, it reads like a who's who of rock gods. All the way through these amazing guitarists, Scott Gorham was the mainstay, and he played with pretty much every one of them. My next question to you is, what's it like playing with such a legendary guitarist as Scott?
Well, it's amazing, and what's so cool about Scott is he's such a cool guy, and he's so laid back, and he's just Mr. Cool. He's just got, Scott's one of these people that I always say, there's real rock stars. People can't make themselves a rock star. Phil was one. Phil just had it. Scott has it as well. Scott has the swagger. Scott walks into the room, a real rock and roller walks into the room. That's the way you feel. He has this swagger. He has this coolness about him. He's a really funny guy. He's got a great dry sense of humor, and a phenomenal musician, phenomenal storyteller, and somebody that I really look up to and find really inspiring. And at the end of the day, he's my buddy, and that was one of the things that not only did I want to obviously do well for myself and for Lizzy and for all of Lizzy's fans and try and do the best that I can, but I wanted to do well for Scott because I knew how important it was to him because I think he felt that it was unfinished business and he wanted to get back out there, and it was very important for me that that he feel comfortable again on stage playing those songs, and hopefully I've gone some way to doing that, you know.
Okay, and would you, for a personal favour for me, darling, ask him what hair conditioner does Scott use? Because I've never seen his hair look bad. You know, in all these years with Lizzy, he's always worth it.
It's the shiniest hair in rock.
It's the shiniest.
I don't know. I'll find out for you. I'll ask him.
Please.
That's the topic conversation's come. Although I think we did ask him. How back in the day, obviously when they were touring in the '70s and. It was probably a little bit more rough and ready having to travel back then, how he managed to maintain his hair when it was down to his ass. So, but he said no, he used to wash it every day, and it was a priority. So there you go.
It is a natural phenomenon, definitely.
Yeah, well, the man has kick-ass hair. What can you say?
Absolutely. Ricki, before we go, something that we ask every rock star that we interview. Are you ready for this?
Sure.
What's your favourite fish?
Favourite fish?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Salmon.
Oh, I mean,
everybody says that.
No, I don't think we've had a salmon yet.
Actually, we mainly get sea bass. Right, okay, we got the salmon down. Ricki Warwick, salmon. Got a note. We're making notes here.
Right, Ricki.
No, salmon.
We will see
I don't know
you.
if that's because of the Irish-Scottish thing, but I've always been able to get good salmon, So.
Oh yeah.
Brilliant.
Right.
Cheers, Ricki.
With a twist of lime.
Right, we will be there on the 23rd to see you, and we'd love to come back and say hi to you.
Yes, we would, and we will be egging everybody on to accompany us and buy bums on seats.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Fantastic.
thank you very much, Ricki Warwick.
A legend.
You're welcome. Thank you, guys. Thank you.